First, fast, accurate. You're watching WSBT Channel 22 News, Saturday morning.
It's 8:19 now. In all of our homes, we have simple household items used for cleaning and other functions, but some of the products can be very dangerous if falling into the wrong hands. This week is Poison Prevention Week. Joining me, very special guest, Dave Sharon with Clay Fire Territory. You're the fire marshal.
Yes.
And you have knowledge of all of this stuff, and you always bring wonderful items in to give us tips. So let's talk about, first of all, how, I'm looking at these beautiful plants. You're saying they can be dangerous. How? Why?
Right. Well, actually, all of our information comes from the Indiana Poison Center, which works out of IU Health at Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis. And if you go on their website, it's a great resource for educators and parents, and they will list a number of plants that are not only hazardous to kids, but also to pets.
What's wrong with the tulips?
Most generally with bulb plants, it's the bulbs that pets might get into before you've planted them.
Okay.
But in this case, the liquid that comes out of the aloe, the leaves that are on the ivy, not every plant or every part of a plant is hazardous. So like rhubarb, you can eat stalks of rhubarb, but the leaves are poisonous. Right, and so what we just tell people is, if you're planting bulbs, get them planted, get them out of the way. Otherwise, house plants, keep them up and out of the way of pets and kids. Our other issue is when you're using some of these items, for instance, the one you're touching now, to treat plants. One thing you need to be aware of is read the labels all the time for the cautions. Very simple thing, since there's particles in there that you can inhale. You know, get a mask to cover your face, right, and gloves. And when you're done with those, throw them away. You know, don't use them another time. One of the things that's that people don't realize, our most common thing in the summertime is poison ivy.
Yeah.
If you haven't washed your hand tools that were exposed to those, especially if they're wood handles, that oil is going to come back the next year, and you'll have it year after year. So it'll be sticking with you forever. You
have a lot of interesting items. I'm seeing nail polish. Sure. I'm seeing stuff we use for coffees. Two of my favorite things, gummy bears and sweet tarts. Okay, what's wrong with all these? Well,
when we start over here for some of our senior citizens, one of the biggest problems they have is over-medication. Maybe forgetting that they took a medication, or self-medicating, taking a prescription drug that maybe a spouse had and it worked for them, so they think it'll work for them.
Not always a good idea.
Right. The other thing that we have issues with the very young and the very old are look-alike items that may be stored in the same place.
Okay.
These two items are packaged similar, look similar in color, and they may appear on the same counter in a kitchen. One is a creamer for coffee, and the other is a scouring powder.
Oh, so, boy.
And they both open the same.
You're right, I didn't even notice. Okay. And when you pour them out, they look the same, almost.
Right, because both of these things are not part of the packaging from the 1970s that was required.
I see, and here you've mixed in sweet tarts with Tums. And so obviously if a child were to take plenty of Tums, that would not be good.
Right. The calcium, it's good for an adult for what you're dealing with, but an over amount of things such as fluoride, like there is in fluoride toothpaste, or calciums, those types of things are very hazardous to children.
We're running out of time. Real quick, Dave, show me this. These look, they're the same color bottles, but what's...
One's a multi-cleaner and the other is a sport drink. Just because of how they're packaged.
So a child could grab it thinking it's a...
Same thing with these. There's vitamins and these are gummy bears. There's restrictions for their use, but when they're kept in places, especially when people take them out of their regular packaging and put them in things like Ziploc bags to carry them around, because you don't want to carry around this big bottle, kids get into those things because they're snacks. So very simply, read labels, read labels, read labels.
Put things safely away from children.
Up and out of the way of kids and pets, and read labels.
All right, read labels. That's the one message today that Dave wants to get across, read labels. Thank you so much for coming this morning. We always appreciate and love you coming into the studio. Still ahead, Benton Harbor heads to the state.